What's good, YouTube? It's of course, fuck my intro. Um, Everybody knows who I am at this point, you know. But anyways, man. Um, okay. So obviously, I've been saying a lot of, I've been saying, Clippers and six a lot. You know, I just be going to random, videos that has to do with NBA. That has to do with the NBA, and I'll be just saying Clippers and six, and Lakers fans will probably freaking storm my damn comments saying that oh, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, the Clippers are gonna do this. The Clippers are gonna do that. They're gonna choke. They probably might choke another 3-1 lead. Like I get it, like we all, well, actually, I'm not gonna say we, but y'all, some of y'all want the Lakers to repeat. They're not gonna repeat. Okay, let's just get this out of the way. They're not going to repeat because in order for them to repeat, they're gonna have to go through the play-in tournament because nothing is given. The amount of games LeBron James, AD missed, they can't go back in time and redo those videos. I mean, redo those games. You know what I'm saying? Now, obviously, the Lakers was probably like in third, second place. Now they're all the way down to fifth place because they lost so many games. Now, obviously, if the Lakers were to be in the play-in tournament, anything can happen. Anything can happen. That's the danger of being in these playoff games. I mean, these play-in tournaments. Anything can happen. Like last year has nothing to do with this year. We all know that, championship teams, they rebuild. They restock, they retool, whatever, scientific word you want to put in there. That's every championship. That's every team that wins a championship. You know? Now, could they have re-signed Rondo? Yeah. Could they have let go of Danny Green? Yeah. Could they have re-signed JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard? Of course. They have the aqueducts. They have the money to do that. But they chose not to do that. You know? Now, they look like a bunch of D1 players. And if you take LeBron James and AD, they might probably win one game. I'm not now. Obviously, LeBron James is going to come back before the playoffs start. That's obviously. But again, AD's health scares me. Drummond, health scares me. You know what I'm saying? Well, scares Lakers Nation. So the reason why I say the Clippers are gonna win in six in the NBA Finals is because the Lakers is gonna have to go through them, and we're gonna see the rematch that, well, actually not rematch, but we're gonna see the match that we didn't get to see last year. You know what I'm saying? Because people might say, well, if the Clippers were to face the Lakers last year, who would have, like, the Lakers would have probably won that series, right? That game would have probably gone to seven, you know, or probably ended in five. Hey, Miami Heat took it to them. Miami Heat took it to them. A lot of people thought that the Lakers was going to sweep Miami, even though Aaron Jodrick was probably like 50%. Bam Adebayo wasn't 100%. Jimmy Butler was carrying them. They was actually using Chris Nunn, who was a bench player, and he came up big time. Like everybody just contributed, you know. Like it would have been great if the Heat would have won, But let's like kid yourselves. The NBA really wanted to give it to the Lakers. Murray is out for the year with a leg injury. LaMarcus Aldridge cut his career short from a scary heart condition. You know what I'm saying? So the Knicks, the Knicks are probably the. I'm not saying that the Knicks are the front runner, but they had the highest ceiling out of anybody. Like nobody wants to play the Knicks. Every team that plays the Knicks, it comes down to the last wire. No, like okay, I was wrong today. I said the Knicks was gonna lose. They came out and they handled their business. Of course, look how many games they have at home. You would expect them to win every home game. The Knicks are not really bad on the road neither, but sometimes when you play home, you're in your comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? When you play on the road, it's like, your back is against the wall. You know what I'm saying? So the first, what, three home games that they have, it's going to be okay, you know? But the reason why, I just wanted to get that out the way. The reason why I say the Clippers are going to win is easy, okay? They have a point guard. Now, obviously, no disrespect to Patrick Beverly. Patrick Beverly is a very great defensive player, but he's not a floor general. He's just not, and I think that's what they was lacking when they didn't have Rondo. Not that they have Rondo, you have a lot of bodies that you could throw to Lakers, right? Because who's gonna clamp down on LeBron James? Kawhi Leonard? Who's gonna take down Drummond? You could put Cousins on him. AD. You could put Zubac on him. But, it's just matchups at the end of the day. You know? I think the Lakers and the Clippers match up well against each other. And we will see. We will see. I just think it's their time. I think it's just a heart feeling. It's their time. It's not a gut feeling. It's not a mind feeling. It's more of a heart feeling. I feel like it's their time. The Lakers had their time last year. Whether people want to crown them championships, people want to say, oh, they won the Bubbles championship. Hey, it is what it is. A championship is a championship. It don't matter what era you win it in. A ring is a ring. You rather have 0 rings than no rings at all, or 1 ring than 0 rings at all. So I mean, as much as y'all been clowning the Philadelphia Eagles, look at them. They won a championship. It may not have been 4 like the Giants or 3 like the Redskins, but at least they won 1. You know what I'm saying? But I just think that Paul George is going to come to its own. Kawhi Leonard is going to do Kawhi Leonard things. And we're going to see playoff Rondo again. And again, and to be honest with you, the Nets are doing the opposite of what the Clippers are doing. The Nets are doing the same thing the Clippers did last year. A lot of up and down. Lou Williams wasn't really focused. Like Kawhi and Paul George was just missing a lot of games. Didn't really, connect like they should have. So currently the Clippers are the odds on favorite, but a lot of people don't want to pick the Clippers because they feel like, oh, they're just gonna choke another 3-1 league again. Like, what if they face the Suns and then they up 2-1, and then they still won at home and it's 3-1, and then here comes the memes, here comes the 3-1 comeback memes, but like, what do you want them to do? At this point, it's just to win or to lose. That's just my mentality. It's just to win or to lose. That's just it. Like people who just sit there and make excuses, well, this should have happened or that should have happened. Life is not fair. Just like in sports, sports can be fair or unfair because you have people pulling the strings behind the scenes, you know? Whether it's the refs, whether it's the players making a boneheaded decision, whatever, you have people behind the scenes. We don't know who these people are, but we just know that they're pulling strings. Now, obviously, in my time watching the NBA, whoever is the hot team and is clicking at the right time wins the championship. We've seen that from the Lakers. We've seen that from the Celtics. We've seen that from the Lakers when Kobe won it without Shaq. You know, we've seen it with LeBron James. The most stacked team wins the championship. We've seen it from the Lakers last year in the bubble. The Lakers were the most stacked champion. I mean, with stacked roster. You know, they had three big men: JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, and I think it was I think it was just only those two. But you know, the stacked team wins most of the time. You know, if you look across the West and the East, who's stacked? Who's the most stacked? Who's making the most noise? You know, and you know, it boils down to team chemistry and team success in the playoffs. It has nothing to do if it has nothing to do with if you can outscore your opponent, because in the playoffs it's not about if you can outscore. That's just in the regular season, you know. That's just in the regular season. In the playoffs, you're gonna have to play defense, you know, and that's something that the Nets struggle in so much. The Nets don't have a championship atmosphere. You know, they have championship players. They have players that have won championships, but they don't have a championship atmosphere because they don't have nothing. They'll never have nothing. And that's just it. Now, I say it many times. They're going to lose against either Philly, the Knicks, or the Bucks. Or if they somehow miraculously get to the finals, they're going to lose in the finals. But till then, they're going to lose in the second round. Oh, trust me, they're going to get out the first round. There's no doubt about it. They're going to get they have to get out the first round. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's the Knicks and the Nets, that would have a lot of people just might say, "Oh, that's going to 4 games." The Nets have that in 4 games. Or people might say, "Okay, I give the Knicks 1 game. They won't get swept. I give them game 1. After that, they're gonna get molly. They're gonna get zoomed. They're gonna get broomed. Well, actually not broomed, but they're gonna get killed." I even said it on the record. I believe the Knicks can take down the Nets because the Nets have something that the Knicks don't have, or the Knicks have something that the Nets don't have, and that's experience. Experience, experience, experience. Steve Nash wasn't the answer. Steve Nash wasn't the answer. They hired Mike D'Antoni. It's just offense, 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 offense with them. Like they don't care dilly squat about defense. If you look at the past 5 championships, if you look at the past 5 teams that won championships, they all have something in common. They all had defense plurality. The the Pistons, the Spurs, the Heat, the Lakers, the Celtics, the Warriors, the Cavaliers, they all have what in common? Championship DNA, championship defense DNA. Even take teams from the 90s, late 80s, they all had what? Defense. This team does not scare me. This team does not strike me. And I want them to be as healthy as a horse. I want them to be as clean as an apple, because if they lose, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear diddly squat. I don't want to hear, oh, well, KD and Kyrie and James Harden didn't play all too well together. Y'all gonna make so much freaking excuses. It's gonna make y'all look bad. And sports is full of excuses. You know, like y'all make excuses for anything. If something doesn't go y'all way, y'all make excuses. For what? Life is not about excuses. You play with the hell you play with the hand you was dealt with. You know? Those guys got in the NBA because of height, talent, or just skill. We wasn't good enough as individuals to be on that level. Because you know how many people try out for basketball? A lot. You know how many people try out for football? A lot. You know how many get in? You know how many get scholarships? A few. You know? But they got in because of pure talent, skill, and probably height. You know what I'm saying? But that does not diminish the talent of the Brooklyn Nets. I'm not saying that they're not talented. They're extremely talented on the offensive side of the ball. If they can just play a tad bit of defense, they would be dangerous. Now, obviously, a lot of people are comparing them to, the 2013-14 Miami Heat, you know what I'm saying, where, you know, it wasn't really all about. I think that Miami Heat team was an all around type of team. Like they can score, they can play defense. They had dogs in them, especially Haslam. You know what I'm saying? Like they had dogs in them. Sure, they didn't have a big man. They never had a big man. That was the Achilles heel. That was the Miami Achilles heel. They had Birdman. They had Haslam. They had Joel Anthony. You know, they had what's that cat's name? Jawan, who's now coaching for the Michigan team in college. He played a little bit, but obviously he was forced to retire because of his knees, or something like that. Now he's the head coach or the assistant head coach of the Fab Five. So I don't see no similarities in those two teams whatsoever. You know, um, because LeBron James, D Wade, and Chris Bosh had to learn to play with another. That's why they lost in the first championship against the Mavericks, because that team already had chemistry. You know, they just got together. You don't expect the Heat to get together and just win the championship right off the bat. That's kind of like what the Lakers did last year. Like nobody expected the Lakers to win the championship because of what happened to Kobe. A lot of conspiracy theories said, well, Kobe, this and that. Like, there was just a whole bunch of conspiracy theories that was going around, you know, that led to, the Lakers' success, you know what I'm saying, to win the championship. But they're not going to repeat. Um, like I said, it's the Clippers' time. I mean, and if they do win, y'all still gonna make excuses. Oh well, LeBron James, if he didn't miss that many games, he would have this and that. Because LeBron James, I believe LeBron James is gonna come back a little rusty. I think LeBron James is gonna come back a little rusty, just like how AD came back a little rusty, only scored 4 points. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're human, you know? But anyways, man, like, comment, subscribe. Till next time, take care of yourself and each other.